In life, we all go through chaos.
Birthday. Girl, wait.
You're going overseas.
Well, Dad, you know I wouldn't have to rush, right? If I just had my own car,
I'll be able to take myself to school.
You really gonna go there? Every time I tell you something that's right, you go there.
Now you buy our car?
But the thing about chaos is not how you go in it, but how you come out of it. So sit back, relax, and see how you're not the only one to experience the chaos that you're going through in your life.
Hi. We run into a little bit of technical difficulties. This is not the good news with Elder Miller, but instead you are here at You Plant, We Water. I am your host, Dr. Toya Flowers, licensed professional counselor with a doctorate in counseling and a background in couples and family counseling. And I have my distinguished co-host.
Hi, I'm Trisha Flowers. I'm a minister and a lifestyle coach. And again, we are so glad you guys could be here.
Yes, we are. So here on this corner of the world, this show, we focus on talking about topics related to your faith, your mental health, and how to have the happy, healthy, thriving relationship that you deserve and that God has for you. So if that's what you're interested in, you are in the right place. We have been on a little bit of a hiatus, and so this is our first return. And so things will kind of get back to where they were. Hopefully by our next show, we'll be back to the looks and things that you're used to, but with a few, what would we call it? Modifications.
Upgrades. No, I'm just
yes. So having said that, today we have what I would call a pretty relevant topic. And what we are going to be talking about is closing out the year, right? We are in the last month of this year. And so more specifically, not just closing out the year, but how do you close out the chapter, this particular chapter in your book of life as you prepare to move forward and continue to, fill those pages, knowing that he is the author and finisher of our faith. But having said that, I got notes, I got glasses today, y'all, because we're gonna be doing all kinds of little things. Yes, thank you. Thank you. We are so happy to be back. All right. So closing the chapter, right? Most of us are already planning our goals for next year, but haven't really even processed what this year took out of us or taught you, right? If you don't let the year finish working on you, you'll take that same dysfunction into January 1st, just like it's carry-on baggage, right? So we're trying to get rid of that baggage by reflecting on the good, the bad, and the ugly as we begin to close out. Closing loops, right? Not just our calendar, really trying to close out some of the chapters. So we got some things for you. Trish, anything you want to say yet? I got some exercises, some things we're going to do, but
I just want to bring in a little sense of humor. We did not know we were going to match today. That was just coincidence, just so you guys know.
That is. It must be that sister energy, right? Okay, beautiful. So let's talk about it, right? You've had almost 12 months of life that you've been living, and maybe life has been lifing, maybe adulting's been adulting. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of new things that have happened in your life, new relationships, marriages, children, new career paths. And maybe there's some things that, you want to close out, some things that need to be pruned, all of those good things. So we're just going to talk about it, right? And really take time to reflect. Honestly, I think this is the first time I've ever done this, where I've actually tried to reflect about closing out the year. We always typically jump to what's our resolutions for the new year, whether you do them or keep them or not, right? So, a couple of things that we have for you, right? I've got some reflection questions that we can even try to answer ourselves.
Oh, Lordy, no.
But before we do that, I want to give you some tips, right, on how you can do this for yourself, and you can do it with us right now. So, my first recommendation is find a nice, quiet, comfortable place, right? Put on my reading glasses, where you can just have some private time right now to reflect. And then think about these questions that I'm about to share. If you have a piece of paper or a journal, you can write your answers down, or you could just think about them as we are sharing our responses. What's great is there's going to be a free downloadable spreadsheet available on our Facebook page, You Plant, We Water, that is a journal prompt. So you can really take some time to think these things through. Having said that, let's start with some reflection on what did this year grow in you? So here's our question, right? What seeds did I plant this year intentionally? What grew unexpectedly? What did God prune even when I wanted him to water it? On a petty note, some things don't die. God just stopped feeding what was starving you. Okay. But on these questions, I'm going to read them again. And Trish, you can share your thoughts of what's coming up, and I'll share my thoughts of what's coming up for me. Again, we're thinking about what did this year grow in you, right? What seeds did you plant this year intentionally? What grew unexpectedly? What did God prune even when I wanted him to water it?
Okay, so repeat the first one. If that
Yes, and you don't have to answer
Okay.
all of them. That's what I'm saying. Whatever just comes up.
Okay.
For you. I don't want to get all too much in your
I want to
business.
be in my
Or
business.
do I?
Okay.
What seeds did I plant this year intentionally?
Mhm.
Right. What grew unexpectedly? So the seeds are, if we think about that, that might be like when, at the beginning of the year, it could even be resolutions. It's something you intended to. Then what just grew unexpectedly?
Mhm.
And or you don't have to answer all of them. What did God prune?
I think I'm gonna do all of them, but I'm gonna make them short so that you guys can kind of have a feel where you're at. So the first one again was
What seeds did I plant this year intentionally?
So the seed that I definitely planted this year was that my daughter was getting ready to go to 6th grade. And so I wanted to make sure that I gave her enough space to grow, which meant I had to pull back some. So I intentionally told her, when, if she's watching, I intentionally told her that she was going to have a little bit more responsibility. And for me, that meant that I didn't need to like save her from everything. So one of the things that we've been doing is she's been getting herself prepared for school without my help. And shout out if you're watching, you've been doing an amazing job. Yes. So that was intentional.
Beautiful. Like I said, you don't have to answer all of them because we do. I have a whole bunch.
Okay, well, we probably won't.
But I'll take one, right? So again, it was what seeds did you plant intentionally? What grew unexpectedly? What did God prune even when I wanted him to water it? Let's talk about what grew unexpectedly. What grew unexpectedly was this show, right? While it was intentional that the show was created and started, it grew unexpectedly in so many ways as far as how the content evolved and how we come together as the two of us, the petty professional and the prophetic, all of these wonderful things. It just grew unexpectedly in God's hands. So that's that. All right. The next thing you can think about, right? Identifying what needs release. Okay. And here I want to encourage honesty, self-awareness, and maybe even some grief processing for yourself. Questions to think about, right? What relationships drained me more than they developed me? What habits, beliefs, or self-talk needs to be uprooted? Where did I abandon myself to keep the peace? So again, now we're in the identifying what we need to release and questions for reflection. What relationships drained me more than they developed me? What habits, belief, or self-talk needs to be uprooted? Or where did I abandon myself to keep the peace? And for our viewers, while my sister is thinking of what she may or may not want to share, an example of these are getting deep, right? But for the viewing audience, I would encourage you, like I said, at another point, cue this show, put it on pause when you need to, and answer every question. Jot it down in your journal, record it on a voice memo, right? This is what this closing out looks like. But any thoughts about relationships that drain, habits or beliefs that need to be uprooted, or self-talk, or where did you abandon yourself to keep the peace?
So, believe it or not, I've had all of those things at one time. But what I will focus on, and this is something that I believe will help you guys to and enrich you. And I think that one of the things that we've learned from the show is, believe it or not, everything that we're talking to you about is something that's happening or had happened or that we need to do ourselves. So we're really doing this process as well. And so one of the things that I had to let go were relationships with a person from a while ago. We had on and off again. And, you know, I have to be honest, it was a release that needed to happen. And life is better. So, you know, sometimes you got to let things go or situations go that aren't growing you or watering you. And so, unfortunately, it was something that I did want God to bless, but God said no, got something better in store.
A little pruning, like from the previous section. Right? I love that, especially because this section about identifying what needs to be released. So you can see we following this metaphor of plants, right? But this section is called the weeds in the water. What did you have to pull up? So thank you for sharing that and being transparent. For myself, I'm going to answer where did I abandon myself to keep the peace, right? If I'm really honest with myself and the viewing audience, dun, 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 I did a lot of shrinking myself. I did a lot of shrinking myself to fit into others' expectations and to align with the vision for their life, which sometimes was counterintuitive to the vision I had for my own life, right? And if we know anything, if you don't want to shrink, right? Peace is important, but you gotta let that light shine that you have in you. And so I'm glad to be reflecting on it now and closing that out so I could do things differently moving forward. All right. So hopefully you all are thinking about these things as well. And I want to encourage you right now, you just can't start any type of new growth in soil that you refuse to clear. Release is not loss, it's preparation for new planting. Okay? So having said that, I do have a little short guided exercise. She never knows any of this, right? I just be busting out. If you're at home, do it with us. Find a sheet of paper, right? Get something to write with. And for right now, I just want you to take a moment. And before you start, what I'm going to tell you to do, we're going to take a deep breath. But I want you to just take this sheet of paper and just take a quick moment. You could do this in more depth later at your own time. But just write down one or two things that you know you need to release. Okay? That's all you got to do. All right. Write it down. Just one or two things really quick. I will not be asking you to share this out loud, sis, so don't worry.
And you guys know I don't have a problem sharing. I'm just playing.
All right. So once you've got that thing, what we're going to do now, we're just going to do a symbolic exercise. We're going to release, and I want you to start tearing it apart. Tear it in half. And in half again. Okay, it's release. If you're at home, you got some small pieces, you can get a bowl of water, sit this in there, let that paper dissolve, let those things you're releasing dissolve. If you feel so inclined, you could burn it, whatever feels good to you. But this is just a symbolic exercise, visualization, right? To help get what's in our mind out into the atmosphere. Not that it does anything, there's no magical properties to it or anything like that, but it just helps you to visualize what you're actually doing. So release it. What's the little song usually? Let it go, let it go. Okay, enough of that. You all don't want to hear me singing. Okay, so that's the second thing, right? So you're going to reflect on what did the year grow in you. You're going to identify what needs to be released. Next, gratitude as closure. Naming God's faithfulness, right? So this is step 3. The first one was reflect. Second one is release. Third is gratitude as gratitude is closure, right? And when you're thinking about this at home and have more time, not just some surface level gratitude, but really some sacred acknowledgement. Really think back on the year. Some prompts to get your mind going. Where did God carry me when I couldn't carry myself? Where did growth happen? Quietly, maybe slowly, maybe even unseen, right? So those are just some prompts, but it could be anything, but gratitude as closure. So anything comes up as you think about gratitude?
So I love gratitude, like even in the midst of things. If you could think of something to be grateful for me personally, it makes things a lot easier. And so for me personally, I am just grateful for my relationship with God. Like it has grown tremendously. And I've just been able to really see God working in my life, and others have been able to see far more than I have. So I've got a lot of great prophecies that have been coming true. And I'm just so thankful that even in my silliness and foolishness, God has not left me, because I have been cutting up, guys. But God is still God is still in charge.
Yes, he is. I love that. As I just think about gratitude, and man, I have so much to be grateful for. My heart is full. There's so many wonderful things God has done for me. But more specifically, when I think about where did God carry me when I couldn't carry myself, even with all the beautiful things that happened this year, there were some times, y'all, where I really felt under attack, right? I felt like I was in a spiritual warfare, and we've covered it, right? How to wrestle not against flesh and blood. And God really carried me during those times. He drew me closer to him and equipped me with the word of God, showed me how to fight using, the armor of God, my helmet of salvation, my shield of faith. You all know I don't have to go into all of the things, right? But just really held me up and let me see that I could withstand the fiery darts of the enemy and to stay on track for what it is he's called me to do. So I am truly grateful and want to definitely carry that gratitude and that same thing into my next season. A little prophetic note regarding the gratitude. Some victories don't look like winning. They might look like surviving. Okay. Fine. We only got 2 more. So the 5th thing as far as closure. Vision without pressure. Planning with peace, right? So instead of starting to focus on new year, new me and things like that, just thinking about, maybe in the next phase, you just want to be more rooted, more grounded. What are some habits that you can nourish and not punish? Maybe there's some new boundaries that are better aligned with emotional maturity, which is something we love here on, this is about mental health, right? But It's just starting. You don't I don't want you to set any clear goals or intentions. This is just reflecting as you're closing out the year, right? How can I move into planning with peace as I think about these pieces? Anything comes up for you, Trish? Anything around new habits you want to nourish or not punish? Boundaries, things like that.
So yeah, and I'm just gonna say this. I feel like you need to do an inventory, right, of kind of what's going on. So, and for myself, I like to do that usually in January, but I've started something new because of my sister. So I've taken inventory of things that are good. And you know how like in your cabinet, you have old vegetables that you're like, I'm going to get to that. Well, I'm throwing all of that stuff out. And so my old vegetables that I have really I'm not going to use in my real life are, I like to keep things just maybe because I might use it. I'm not going to do that. If I'm not using it and I haven't used it, then it's going to go to someone that could use it because I have a lot of things that I have no intention and they're new. I might maybe one day do skiing. So I need a ski outfit. So I want to stop doing that. And I'm only going to do the things that I am going to actually use.
Love it. Love that. I have so many new boundaries that I'm looking forward to putting in place. Good evening. But I don't want to share too much. But so instead I'll talk about a habit that I want to nourish, right? That really I just start getting consistent with it, if I'm truly honest, in this last month or so. But I always want to, hopefully we all have the word hidden in our heart. And we have like our favorite scriptures and things like that. And one of mine is seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all else shall be added unto you. So I say it to myself all the time, right? But what I realized is as it related to my Bible study, my daily Bible study and prayer, I just kind of did that whenever the time happened to occur during the day. It wasn't first thing or anything. And this month I started doing it first thing, right? First thing I'm going to do is pray. First thing I'm going to do is read my word, really seeking it first, right? And the scripture applies to more than just, your daily study. But I've been applying it in that way, and I just love it. And that's something I want to continue to nourish as I move forward with the new year. So, okay. A question for this section, right? With planning with peace, you can just ask God, what are you inviting me into, and what must I leave behind in order to receive it? Okay. What are you inviting me into, and what must I leave behind in order to receive it? And then lastly, call to action, right? So as we're closing it out, what are some concrete things you can do? You can consider writing a letter to this year. In your letter, thank it, release it, bless it, right? So write a letter to 2025. Second, you can create a do not carry list. These are the things you're not bringing with you: habits, hurts, relationships. Third, choose one seed for next year. Try to focus on one that's going to be really deeply rooted, right? I had a whole bunch of things. Another one with gratitude. Actually identify a person in your life who's done something wonderful to you and give them a letter or a note thanking them. Right? I'll do that right now. Give flowers for flowers are due. I might cry.
Oh, I might too. No, I'm just
But I want to thank you, Trisha, because you have been there for every step of the way this year. And there were some really hard times. And I talked to you on the phone for hours. And we have cried together and laughed together. And you have consistently showed up. And so thank you.
Well, no problem. She has done the same things for me. It has been a challenging year, but it has also been a great year for growth for both of us. Yes. And I would like to just throw this out here. Sometimes the thing that you're looking for has always been right in front of you. So those are the things that, we hope that talking to you and sharing some of our foolishness and our shenanigans that you guys get to. Like I said, we really are going through the episodes
Processes
with you guys. Like, we don't have it all figured out. We don't have the magical answer to relationships, but what we do have and what keeps us centered is God is always first. And so even when we don't know if we're coming or going, that is the key. So I would like to just throw that out there.
Right. So those are just some things to actually, and you've got the whole rest of the month to really just take time, try to close out the chapter, really reflect. What do you want to bring with you? What went well? What do you want to let go of? What do you want to do different moving forward? Because tomorrow is a gift, right? And we don't want to take it for granted. So thank you for going on this little journey with us. Like I said, there's going to be a free downloadable journal reflection guide. Amen. Thank you, sis. That you can use to go through this process while you are at home. I'd say go big. Light a candle, make you some hot tea, put on fuzzy socks, and really just get into it, right? But thank you always. And I would be remiss if I didn't also let you know that we are so thankful for you, our viewers. You've made a huge difference. The comments, the positive feedback, those who've joined us on Facebook, you really encouraged us to keep going, and keep doing this, and to really expand it and try to give it its new legs. So we appreciate you. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. And just want you to remember that you plan.
We want it. She also is being conservative. If you guys want to do some sponsorships or anything like that, please let us know on our Facebook page, and we will be more than happy to get to it. Bye.